Hello guys, JCC2224 here with a review that's been a long time coming for me. It is the Mafex Iron Man Mark 45 from Avengers Age of Ultron. And I've been wanting this figure for so long, and Medicom in 2016 released a very nice Mark 45. There's not really a lot of reviews of this thing on YouTube, that's why I wanted to review it. However, a lot of complaints on this figure, it's specific on certain copies. If you're watching this video wanting to have a Mark 45 and you're most likely debating between this Mafex or the SH Figuart, I would say get the Mafex, especially if you're a Marvel Legends collector going more for Marvel Legends scale figures and ones that just look really nice, because this Mark 45 is absolutely stunning looking. If you don't believe me, here it is. From head to toe, the sculpt on this thing is absolutely breathtaking. The paint is also amazing. I think this is the nicest looking Mark 45 figure that is not Hot Toys. I think it looks absolutely superb. I love the look of it. Mark 45 is one of my favorite Iron Man armors, and for some reason, Hasbro did not make a Marvel Legend of it, so I was forced to get an import. And honestly, I am not disappointed. This is Mafex's second Iron Man figure. The first was the Mark 43, also from Avengers Age of Ultron. And this is a really good figure. I would say a lot of the complaints are more subjective. Some people say it feels light and cheap because of it. For me, yeah, it feels light, but it feels like a scaled down plastic Hot Toys figure. I've never really messed with a plastic Iron Man Hot Toys figure, however, I really feel like this is very similar to that. It's all made out of ABS plastic. You can hear that. It's all made out of a harder plastic. No metal on this thing whatsoever besides a few pins here and there for some joints. Speaking of joints, a lot of people complain that it's a loose figure, and shaking it around, it's mostly just the waist a little bit, but it still holds poses, you know? The waist still holds poses, it still works. It may vary on your copy of this figure, I'm not gonna lie. Perhaps your copy will have loose hips and it'll struggle to stand up. Mine stands up perfectly fine, no real issues with that. Overall, a lot of Mafex figures have some QC issues, and I haven't really seen any QC issues with this guy. There's a few paint imperfections I have, say on the helmet here. You can see the helmet has a little seam line right there on the chin. Barely noticeable, but it's still there. And also some gold paint was not fully finished going into the crevices on the top of the gold right there. Other than that, the paint is pretty much flawless. It's all nicely candy red. You can see there's two shades of red too. There's a lighter red and a darker red. Very nice contrast there. The gold and the gunmetal silver is absolutely stunning. And this thing, I think it used to retail for like 70, 80. I got it on eBay for 47, and that's a pretty good deal for this kind of figure. It does have a few loose joints, I'm not gonna lie. This bicep, you can see it's pretty loose. It struggles to hold some poses, but it's not the end of the world, honestly, because this bicep is perfectly fine. It's probably just a little bit of varying tolerances in the joints there. For accessories, this guy comes with plenty. In the package, you get a Tony Stark head with a flip-up mask, and this thing looks awesome. One of the best 1/12 scale Tony faces I've seen. It still has some issues with the chin there, but other than that, pretty much perfect. Does have a removable mask here if you just want to have that. Iron Man did not remove his helmet or mask when he was piloting the 45, so it's kind of an unnecessary accessory, but still a really welcome one. Two short blast effects to go into his hands. Two longer blast effects to go into his feet. Two hand guards that go outward so you can have repulsor and flying poses. Two flying hands with pegs in the hands right there. Two flying hands without the pegs, and you can see here for the ball joint, it has a cut right there so it can move upward more. Two repulsor hands with pegs in them, you can see the cut joint yet again. Two repulsor hands without the pegs in them. Normal hand guards, as well as just fists that he's packed in with. It does come with a Mafex display base. Clear plastic, so naturally it's going to get fingerprints all over it. Be careful with that. He does have the arm here that can peg in on either three spots. Does have a hinge and swivel there, hinge there, hinge there, swivel right here, and a clamp right here. This comes detached in the package, so yeah, it may not want to stay on, but if you get it on there tight, it'll stay just fine, no worries. For articulation on the figure itself, his head is on a double ball joint and his neck is also on a ball joint. He does have joints that move outward for his arms that give him a lot more range. He does have a hinge and two hinges actually for the shoulder pads, I believe. Bicep swivel. He does have a double bend at the elbow, but you don't get too much. It's It's pretty Hot Toys where it doesn't really bend too much. But it does collapse, go in and out, so if you want it shorter for some reason, you can collapse it. He does have ball joints at the wrists. These handguards, this is one of my few complaints, the handguards can't move. If you extend his waist right here, you can see that he has some pretty decent ab crunch as well as a waist rotation, but I'd be careful with the crotch piece there. It can slide down, and it's kind of hard to get it back up. He does have very interesting hip joints. Instead of just hinging down, they're on a rail. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the hips are on a rail where they slide back and down. That's really good for getting some decent forward poses. You also have a thigh swivel that's a little limited just because of the sculpt of the suit. It does have a double jointed knee. It's pretty good. You can also collapse that in and out too with the knee joint. I'd be careful though, make sure that that doesn't protrude. Make sure it's nice and flat. He does have a kind of Revoltech-ish joint in the foot, so if you want to work it around, you can give him an ankle pivot, but for up and down, moves up that far, moves down that far. Toe joint and these armor guards get out of the way as necessary. So overall, the articulation on this thing's pretty good. My particular copy, the head's a little loose, the biceps a little loose, and I don't know if you saw, but this leg is a little loose. But the leg's just on a ball joint, so you can tighten that easily. Same with the neck, but this bicep swivel, you may have to heat it up, pop it out, tighten it. Not sure if you want to do that with an import figure, though, especially one made out of ABS. So for comparisons, here is Tony Stark with the Mark 43. You can see fits pretty much in scale with Marvel Legends, and if you want to mess with it a little bit, you can get his neck looking a little shorter, so the armors are more the same height. I'm perfectly fine with this size. I think they look good together. I have no issue with this. I think it looks better than the Figuarts, which from reviews I saw, the Figuarts comes up to about there, so yeah, I think this looks way better overall. And it has the darker silver too, where the Figuart had like a lighter silver. I didn't like that. Here's the Mark 45 with the War Machine Mark II, so you can finally have these guys together. Yeah, that looks really nice. Here he is with the Civil War Mark 46. You can see they're about the same height. No real issue there. I think they look good together. And if you're wondering, yes, I did paint the all the little lights on the 46 because it looked really bad without them. Here's the 45 with its predecessor, the Mark 44. Good old Hulkbuster, the original Build-A-Figure, not the UK version with the darker candy red. Yeah, that works. And finally, here it is with the Lego Mark 45 and the 2.5-inch Iron Man Mark 45. Yeah, the Lego looks good. I'd say the Lego looks really good. Also, here's the Mafex Tony head sculpt with the Mark 45 Tony head sculpt. Yeah, one is certainly way better. Also, here it is with the Mark 46 Battle Damage Tony head sculpt. I still like this one. The eyes are a little derpy, but this looks really, really good. I think it's the best. It is by far the best 1/12 scale Tony face I've seen. So there is the Mafex Mark 45 Iron Man all said and done. Overall, if you love the Mark 45 as much as I do, this is a must get, especially if you really need a Marvel Legends scale Mark 45 in your collection like I did. I highly recommend this. I think it was 45 bucks well spent on my end. I'm really, really happy with this figure. If you are still looking for Mark 45, I would say either debate this or the Figuarts. The Revoltech is kind of weird looking and it's still pretty pricey. However, the prices on this guy are currently going down. So I would recommend getting this. I think a lot of people decided not to because of the Mafex quality control issues in 2016, as well as the Figuarts coming out before this. But yeah, I love this Mark 45. It's not a perfect figure. It does have some joint tolerance issues, as reviews do say. However, if you can live with that, if you can just get past that and realize, yeah, it can still pose really well in spite of it, get it. Just get this thing. It's my favorite Iron Man figure I own. It's very nicely done, nicely painted, sculpted, all of that. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much it with my review. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Check my Facebook and Instagram pages if you have a chance. Have a good day, guys, and as always, may the Force be with you. Bye.